Today marks day 3 of the ANC's National General Council in Boksburg, Ekurhuleni. Sakina is there. She's joined by Sakina Maseko, SABC News reporter. Let's find out what we may have missed, what to expect. Let me hand it over to them. Sakina, good morning again.
Morning once more, Leanne. Welcome back to Birchwood. And this, of course, the Hotel and Conference Centre at which the 5th NGC of the ANC is taking place. And as you correctly point out, it is day 3 of 4. And quite a bit has been said, but we haven't had much official feedback as the media in terms of what has been discussed in the commissions here at the 5th NGC. But of course, I'm joined by he who is always milling around and getting to know what actually is happening, Sakina Maseko. So a bit of a departure from the way things have been traditionally done at the NGC. So as we've come to know and understand it, the commissions will sit and then there will be a feedback, a briefing session with the media to communicate what had been resolved. We didn't have that yesterday, even though it was on the program. So the reason why this is not happening?
The reason is that they were discussing in the same commissions in different venues. Were discussing the same thing yesterday. They were discussing the state of the National Democratic Revolution, the NDR, and the balance of forces, basically speaking about the domestic issues, where they are in resolving the socio-economic crises of South Africans, particularly the provision of water, electricity, bulk infrastructure, basic living, which is one of the necessities of the Freedom Charter, which the President Cyril Ramaphosa yesterday spoke about, that there shall be security, there shall be food, there shall be housing, people shall live in comfortable spaces, which are some of the issues that were being ventilated, and whether they are on track with the NDR or not. And vastly, most of the commissions were saying that they have made some progress, but the NDR has veered off track. They have made some progress, but they have veered off track of the NDR, which is telling that they have not fully achieved most of the points in the Freedom Charter, despite the President yesterday saying that they've implemented some of which and some they have lagged, particularly when it comes to land restitution within the country. They have lagged significantly on that. Willing buyer, willing seller was a policy that failed dismally. And you've got now the expropriation with nil compensation, which does not speak to the agrarian land, which South Africans are speaking about, that they want to produce their own food. Government has done away with subsistence farming, which used to feed a lot of families in the rural areas and used to pay a lot of school fees and university fees for the many of the professionals who are seeing today either in business or in the private and public sectors.
And of course, one of the tripartite alliance partners who would be key to this, and given the discussions and the nature of those tenets contained within the Freedom Charter, is of course the South African Communist Party. And we know that coming into this NGC, relations are somewhat strained. There's definite tension there in the tripartite alliance, given that at their last conference, the SACP did make a resolution that they would go next year's local government elections alone.
It's an understatement to say the relations are strained. I think it's a non-existent relationship. It's like your wife serving you with divorce papers and you going back and trying to keep that particular wife will constantly remind you that I wanted to leave you and you begged me to stay. And essentially that relationship is done and dusted, especially at a national level. It's done, it's dusted. The General Secretary of the South African Communist Party was not here. The delegates who I've been engaging with, one of them, 3 or 4 of them said we're cutting the umbilical cord. We are cutting the umbilical cord with the SACP. Once bitten, twice shy. Once bitten, twice shy, in relation to the dual membership system.
But is it their decision to take? Because I would imagine that this would lend itself to a much higher level discussion at the leadership level, because it's not as easy as the delegates may think it is to sever those ties with one of the tripartite alliance partners, because what would that mean for the rest of the alliance going forward?
It would be very difficult. But if you look at COSATU is a very timid organization now. It's a timid federation. It no longer has the teeth and bite that it used to have. They couldn't even fill Dobsonville Stadium. The mighty COSATU has collapsed.
From 2.2 million members at some point. I think they're down to, I think I saw 1.8, but in some quarters, some were saying 1.3 million.
Let's say 900,000. Let's say 900,000.
Yeah.
Give or take 900,000. So they're no longer the same. SACP in itself, intellectually and ideologically, it's facing the same problems as the ANC. It's intellectually and ideologically bankrupt. Have you ever heard or read a discussion document intellectually from the South African Communist Party in the past 2-3 years? No. The only documents that they bring to the fore is their balance of forces with the ANC, with the documents that are written by Dr. David Masondo, the Deputy General Secretary, document written by Puti Manamela, a document written by Dr. Bladen Zimande, and a document written by Jeremy Cronin responding to Geraldine Fraser Muleketi and Mtumseni Ntuli about the balance of forces and the relationship of the SACP and the African National Congress, where you had Jeremy Cronin saying that that document by Mtumseni Ntuli and Geraldine Fraser Muleketi smirked of thoughts and words of former President Thabo Mbeki, reducing them to surrogates and stooges of former President Mbeki and not going to the substantive matters of the issues being raised by those three particular individuals. Yet the relationship with the SACP has been fraught for many years. You remember, at the 2002 conference, the SACP and COSATU were dubbed the ultra-left by the TM administration within the African National Congress. The only person from the left axis who made it into the ANC NGC at that conference was Enoch Godongwane. All the rest did not make it. Then you had that moment with Jacob Zuma as well, where they had a fallout. They backed Cyril Ramaphosa, and he ultimately went into office. That relationship soured. So the relationship between the two organizations is not there. But the two organizations are holding a gun to one another's heads. The SACP is saying, we've got a conference resolution to contest. The ANC is saying, okay, wait, we don't have a mandate as yet. Let us go to the branches and get a mandate. So the ANC also wants to hold a gun to the SACP's head to say, no, we've got a mandate from our branches to cut the umbilical cord if you continue with this decision to contest alone.
And we do know that there is quite a bit of appetite here at the NGC, at least from engaging with some of the delegates to discuss this particular matter of whether that umbilical cord with the SACP in particular should be cut. And these are, of course, some of the discussions that are taking place, the balance of forces and how that impacts, South Africa going forward. We still don't have any briefings or feedback from what was discussed in the commissions, but we understand that will happen tomorrow.